Good morning and welcome back to my channel. My name is Fletcher Nelson. I'm a third grade teacher in Minnesota, and today it is Monday, March 3rd, and we have a pretty busy week ahead of us. Weather here looks promising this week. I don't want to get too excited because we always get like a false spring, like where it's nice for a week or two and then we get hit with like a snowstorm or super cold weather. So I'm not going to get my hopes up, but I think it's supposed to be like a high of like upper 40s or even 50s today, so that's going to feel amazing. But this week we have conferences, so that's going to take up some time just doing some like little assessments and getting things prepared for conferences. So I have one night on Thursday and the other night is next Tuesday. So that's one thing that's going to make it a busy week. The other thing is we have a STAR testing window that closes, and it closes on March 11th. And so we do the STAR reading and the STAR math test. And I probably will just do them before conferences. We don't usually show STAR stuff, but some families, if they have older children, are used to seeing it. So I always just have it ready in case anybody wants to see it. I can show it to them. The reason we don't show it to them is because it's kind of hard to understand and interpret. So it's one of those things where I'd rather just show them the actual classwork instead of a standardized test. So it's not like we're keeping it from them. It's just, it's kind of more of a tool for the teachers. So we just haven't really showed it at conferences really for the last couple of years, I'd say. And on top of that, I want to get our argumentative writing wrapped up this week. We're starting a new math unit, and yeah, we got a lot going on. So I have morning recess due this week, so I'm going to get ready for that. But I will check in at the end of the day and let you know how the day goes, what we get to. I think we also have counseling today, so that'll take some time out of my teaching time today. But anyways, I'll see you after school. Goodbye. And we are back for the end of the day check-in. Overall, it was a pretty good day. We got a lot that I talked about this morning done. It was beautiful out. It's like almost 50. Stuff's melting. It's getting muddy out there. That's going to be great for kids and for my dogs. But anyways, let's just get into it. Here's what we did today. All right, we kicked off our new math unit, and today we talked about attributes of rectangles. So they looked at these pictures. They came up with 4 attributes that all the rectangles shared, and then they came up with things that the not a rectangle group had. So we talked about what makes a rectangle, and then they also did this shape sorting page over here. And then with conferences this week and report cards are due for the end of the trimester, we made this for math. Our curriculum had something similar, but we tweaked it just a little bit. So we're going to go over the skills that we've taught so far, and just we'll say whether kids are needing more work, if they're meeting expectations, or if they're exceeding. And a lot of these things were ones that just were on our last assessment, like finding the area, and then also multiplication facts and division. But for things that we haven't done for a while, we created just a math checkpoint. Like we've been working on it, but it hasn't been assessed for a while. So we gave this checkpoint today just to kind of help us to see how they're doing with any items that we haven't assessed in a while. So they took this as well. For reading, we talked about plot. We watched a BrainPop video to introduce it, and it kind of talked about the different parts of the Wizard of Oz, and talked about like exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. So after we watched that video, we watched a Pixar short. We watched Mike's New Car, and we just kind of identified the different plot elements within that Pixar short. And we started drafting our argumentative writing. A lot of kids got their introduction and most of their first body paragraph done on paper, like drafting it using our outline. So that was good. And then we had our counselor today, and she was in talking about kindness and kind of created a kindness challenge for them. So that was our day. We also have one more chapter left in Out of My Mind, so we will finish that book tomorrow, which is exciting. And yeah, anyways, I'm going to walk home. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye. Hello, it is Tuesday after school. With morning recess, I keep forgetting to hop on, but that's all right because I don't really say much in the morning anyways. But it was an okay day. The weather kind of went gross again. Not super gross, it just was windy and chilly, but we started the day just like a little off, but by the end we're back into things. But anyways, here's what we did. For math, yesterday we talked about attributes. So today they were given a shape, and I have not taught them this yet. We will kind of go off of their posters and then teach the kind of rules for each quadrilateral, but they had squares and not squares, and they had to come up with their own attributes for anything they saw in their shapes circle and anything that wasn't. So this group for squares, they said 4 sides, 4 corners, 4 right angles, 4 parallel sides. So I guess 2 pairs of parallel sides. So there, those are things that line up there. For not squares, they had, some of them had curved sides, they were open, they had obtuse angles, or they had acute angles. So those are things they noticed off of theirs. And then they had to come up with examples and non-examples. So saying this group had rhombuses. So them noticing those attributes will kind of lead into our discussion of being able to classify quadrilaterals. So they actually, that part of the day was really good. That's, I don't know when it was, but like before that, it just was like nonstop to me. Like they needed all these little things and I just was like overstimulated. And then once we got to like the math lesson and they were making those posters, they worked really hard and I just got like a little mental break. It was, that part was great. So let's see. From there, this afternoon we did our STAR reading test for reading, super exhilarating. And then we kicked off our light unit for science. So today they just, yeah, let's pull it up. So they each got this table and then I had flashlights and I had these objects and they had to go through first and just predict whether all light, some light, or none of the light would go through the object. And after they finished these, they got to write their own. And then at the end we talked about how if all the light passes through, that's called transparent. We had translucent if some is going through, and if none, it's called opaque. And that will build off on the rest of our light unit. So this was kind of like the exploring light introduction today. And we finished the book Out of My Mind, and that was our day. So yeah, we will have another busy day tomorrow. Conferences are coming up, so stay tuned. I'll see you then. Goodbye. Hello and happy Wednesday. It is March, whatever day it is, 6th? 5th. March 5th. Let's see, it was a little chillier today with the wind. At one point this morning when we were outside, it was like -4. So definitely different than Monday when it was like 50 degrees, but the sun's out now, so that's helping a little bit. But it was overall, it was a pretty good day. Nothing too eventful. I did make a full day in the life of this day, so maybe you watched that. But this morning we did our STAR math test, and we also then, we had a high school art class come in to our classroom, and in our town, Thomas Dambo, who's like a Danish artist and sculpture maker of these trolls, he uses recycled wood, and look them up, they're really cool. But anyways, he made 5 of those in our town last summer. So the high school art class is having my students write a story about their troll, because each of his have like a little story and like a moral you can learn from them. So they are creating their own and coming up with a name for it, and the high school art students are going to help them on Friday during their actual art class, are going to help them kind of draw what it would look like, and I think eventually they're going to make it for them out of clay as well. So that'll be a kind of cool little collaborative project. So the high schoolers were in here for that today, and we also, let's see, what else did we, they were here for a while. Oh, and then we did our second day of our light unit. So yesterday was the introductory and we used Generation Genius. So today was like the video part of that. So they watched the video and learned more about opaque, transparent, and translucent objects and some examples. And we discussed that. And then we started our next chapter book read aloud, which is Percy Jackson the Lightning Thief. And that was our day. So anyways, we have conferences tomorrow, so I spent a lot of time getting stuff ready for those, and we'll do some conference stuff tomorrow as well. But I'm out of here, so I'll see you guys tomorrow for a long day. Goodbye. Good morning. It is Saturday, March 8th. I did not come in, hop on Thursday or Friday, so let me just fill you in on what was going on, what we did. Just kind of a little recap, I guess. Starters, Thursday was just a whirlwind because it was conferences, and me being type B, I was like assembling the folders for my students whose conferences I had that day. So I did not hop on because I just was obviously doing my job and didn't have time to check in. So conferences went super well. I had 12 of them back to back to back to back to back straight through on Thursday, and then I'll have the rest on Tuesday. They were great. The one thing I would suggest that I loved that I did is keeping their writing sample from the fall. I always have my students write a letter to their families, and in the fall and in the spring I tell them the same thing. I say, I want you to include, here, let me show you. Both the fall and the spring, I tell them, hey, have a paragraph about fun things in third grade. So we brainstormed some ideas. So they had things they could go off of, things that they've learned, and then things they're looking forward to. But in the fall, a lot of them can't structure a paragraph very well. So it turns out to just be a few sentences or sometimes even just a list. And then I keep it because if I don't keep it, it's hard to know, like it's hard to see the growth. I feel like you don't always remember exactly what theirs looked like in the fall. So I show it to families in the fall and then I keep it. And even my students who did have paragraphs, they still had much more elaborate and they like explained better. It wasn't just a list. They did a much better job of talking about why they liked those things or why they were looking forward to something. So that is one thing I would definitely recommend if you're a teacher is keeping that writing sample, because I had a student who wrote on the paper sideways. I had students who were using 3 lines to like write their letters massive, so their handwriting's improved, their ability, their content, everything was so much better. So definitely recommend keeping that writing sample. And then Thursday itself, we just were doing some conference stuff, like they rated their work habits, they wrote that letter to their families and that type of stuff. So that was Thursday. And then Friday we had a glow party. Why I decided to do this the day after conferences, I don't know. But it worked well because my class didn't know. I made it a surprise. And when they went to art in the morning, I set it all up, so it did not take long. I'll insert a little clip or some pictures here. But I have a word search just with glow themed words that they did. For reading, they read about bioluminescent animals. I had a Connect 4 math game that they played. And then to end the day, I just had some different glow in the dark games. Some that I had, some that my coworker has from her glow day. So it was just a fun way to end the week, and especially after conferences. And lastly, to end the day, we had a school-wide rally, and it was minute-to-win-it games where students were drawn to compete against teachers, and me and Mark were asked to host it, and our counselor convinced us to wear the suits that we wore to Atlanta to like dress up in suit and ties. So again, we surprised our classes. We walked them down and then we both left the gym. Our coworkers like knew about it, so they were watching our students for us. And then we went and changed quick, and then we came back in and we're in our suits and ties. So that's why I'm back here on Saturday, because I walked to school still, and I had my suit. You can see it hanging back there. Over lunch, Mark and I yesterday went to lunch together, so on our way back, we stopped at my house, picked up my suit, and then after school I didn't want to walk home with it, so I'm here to grab that quick. And then I figured, oh, I should check in since I forgot to. So that was the end of our week. It was conference week's always tiring, but like that time flies by. It's always so good to connect with families and to talk with them. The celebration we had school-wide was super fun. And yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing up conferences on Tuesday. So anyways, I will check in with you guys next week. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.